TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Prices for electricity consumers as the Senate moves to reverse recent tariff increase. There is controversy over the House of Representatives resolution on the EU-Samoa agreement. And later on the program.
No, this will bring about development, to bring about independence to our local government.
A principal officer of the National Assembly would join me to give some perspectives to the matters arising, including the federal government signing of the EU-Samoa agreement. You're watching the Hello Chambers on TVC News. I am Tijesu Adeoye. The Senate will take on the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission and distribution companies as it resumes consideration of a report submitted by its Committee on Power looking into the urgent need to stop the increase in electricity tariff. The new move was spurred by a motion from Katsina Senator Abdulaziz Yaradua on the adverse effect on the high cost of electricity on the economy, particularly the medical services sector.
Disturbed that if the current rate of 225 naira per kilowatt hour is sustained, hospitals are likely to transfer the energy bill to patients to almost 3 times what they are currently paying. Reminds that public health institutions play a critical role in ensuring access to quality health care for all citizens, and subjecting them to exorbitant electricity tariffs threatens their operational viability, potentially leading to a collapse of essential healthcare services and further exacerbating the healthcare crisis in our nation.
In the opinion of the presiding officer that day, it was resolved that they should ask the legal department of the National Assembly for their advice before we could go on. And so that report, which comprehensively deals with this matter, was suspended and has remained suspended up to today.
The view of the Senate that to bring a holistic end to this matter, that the Committee on Powers report on this same issue be brought forward by the next legislative date. Those in support say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it. So I thank you for this report, and Senator Abaribe, tomorrow you bring up that report for consideration by the Senate.
The House of Representatives has denied earlier reports that it called on the federal government to suspend the implementation of the EU-Samoa agreement. The spokesperson of the House of Reps says the resolution of the House was to investigate the controversial clauses in the agreement to ensure that they do not violate the provisions of the 1999 Constitution as amended. He says the House urged the government to engage in widespread consultations and stakeholder engagement. But it seems what the lawmakers really want is to have been carried along and properly informed on the processes and details of the agreement.
Like I said in the statement that I issued last night, I think that it was erroneously captured, saying that we called for the suspension, or that we called for the suspension of the implementation or the suspension of the agreement altogether. So that's not correct, because the House resolves based on the collective wisdom of everybody that we have conversations together that's debated. And what we actually debated, and it's very clear, we have the votes and proceedings of yesterday, and I'll just read what was resolved. Investigation to establish if any part of it is of the agreement, that is offensive and infringes on the rights, culture, and beliefs of Nigerians. That's the first provision. And then secondly, mandate the committees on national planning and economic development, the House Committee on Justice, and the House Committee on Treaties, Protocol, and Agreements to interface with relevant agencies to resolve all gray areas in the agreement and report back within 4 weeks.
In the Senate, a ranking senator and former president of the Senate attempted to shoot down moves to adjust the sitting time to synchronize with the time the House of Representatives resumes plenary. Senator Ahmed Lawan disagreed with the motion brought by the Senate leader, Senator Okoyemi Bamidele, and he vehemently argued against it. Even the Senate's president's intervention could not sway the senator, Senator Ahmed Lawan, from his conviction, as he also sharply countered Senator Godswill Akpabio as he tried to insinuate that the 11 a.m. resumption time was a practice adopted from the 9th Senate, where Senator Ahmed Lawan was the president.
Over 70% of distinguished senators are chairmen of committees. And then, of course, thirdly, we have our oversight functions. Aside from other things that we have to engage in our various constituencies, and on the logic, Mr. President, is that a lot of times distinguished senators have reasons to go to bed late. And there is no point having in our rule book that our sitting time is 10 a.m.
At the moment, for which we want to shift our sitting from 10 to 11 and end at 3 p.m. To me, we have more energy, our heads are clearer in the morning, and 1 hour into the day, probably would have lost some energy.
We have not been able to justify the 11 o'clock sitting unless we reflect same in our rule. And the idea of 3 o'clock, in my view, is not correct, because it doesn't mean you must sit till 3. It simply means that we can, even if we don't have enough things to do, we can close at 1. We can close at 2, to enable our colleagues to go for committee sittings. So the only aspect of it was just to legalize it so that people don't have the impression that you are sitting at 11 o'clock and your rule says 10 o'clock. But if we must leave it as it is, it's not a problem. But let's hear from the public.
The House of Representatives Committee on Women Affairs squared up with the Federal Minister of Women Affairs during an investigation into the alleged diversion of 1.5 billion naira contractor funds at the ministry. The chairman of the committee explained that this probe is not a witch hunt, but a means to ensure contractors who have delivered on their tasks are paid. The Minister of Women Affairs, Uju Kennedy Ohaneye, will not have any of that. She insists she was not given fair hearing and loudly disagreed with the lawmakers. She resisted all attempts by the committee to continue with the probe that finally ended in a shouting bout and forced the House Committee on Women Affairs to suspend this investigation indefinitely.
Now we are taking it up from where we stopped, where the procurement officer told us that all that the contractors said was true. Most of the contractors, the jobs that they did, they were not paid. And then the DFA eventually affirmed that he was paying only those that he got, the approval for.
You did say, yes, there was release of money, and you take instruction from principal. And there and then, I confronted permanent secretary. He said he was not in the know. I still making my statement that you are running the ministry with your minister. Both of you, but I take exception. I don't want this kind of allegations. Please let her finish. I am not scared to anybody. I don't want it. She should withdraw her statement about me.
Honorable Minister, calm down. You will talk. You will have your time. You will have your time. Honorable Minister, you will have your time. You will have your time.
Yes, not fairness. Yeah, it's a trap. It's a trap, but I'm not going to jump into it.
Thank you, Chairperson.
I will not jump into the trap.
The question is, the monies for these contractors, 2023,
yes,
Was the money appropriated for released to the ministry's account? Yes or no?
The money that was
yes or
proposed,
no?
I cannot answer yes,
yes or no. That is the question. Was the money released to the ministry's account? Yes or no? From the accountant general.
Yes or no.
Okay, don't worry.
Because the money was not fully released. The money was not fully released.
Thank you. I cannot be here and allow the honorable minister to insult any member of this committee. We are going to adjourn Synodal, and I hope that by the time we call the honorable minister again and this team to come together, we'll be able to behave yourself.
We will take a quick break to catch our breath, and when we return, I will introduce a member representing Ankpa, Omala, and Olamaboro Federal Constituency of Kogi State. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you for staying with us on the Hello Chambers, and my guest today is an honorable member of the House of Representatives. He is the Deputy Majority Leader of the House, and his name is Honorable Halim Abdullahi. It's good to have you on the program today.
Thank you very much.
Let's start on a condolence note. The House of Representatives lost a member of the House, your colleague from Oyo State, Honorable Olaide Akinremi. What fond memories do you have of him?
Thank you very much. On a very, very sad note, we lost a member. Not just a member, a close friend of mine, a very, very participatory parliamentarian, somebody who has served with people very diligently to the best of my knowledge. And, you know, God in His infinite glory has time to call anybody. So I think it's His own time. He's gone, and as a friend, as a compatriot, I earnestly, from my innermost mind, is to keep praying for him. The entire House of Representatives gave him a minute silence, and even to honor him, we adjourned our sitting on the very day this news came to us.
What would you say about his contributions to legislation, especially during discussions? Yeah. How would you say the House will miss his contributions?
Definitely the House will miss his contribution, because he was a very active member of the Parliament. He did very well in terms of service to his people, in terms of, you know, participation as far as the floor of the Assembly is concerned.
Well, here at the Hallowed Chambers, we pray that the Lord Almighty grant repose to his soul, and also grant fortitude to the family to bear the loss. We'll move on now. The Supreme Court has recently ruled in favor of the local government autonomy, having full financial autonomy, and we've seen a lot of reactions coming from several quarters. Where do you stand on this long-standing debate about the local government autonomy?
I stand with justice. I stand with justice. I'm a lawmaker. I'm a law-abiding citizen too, and in the interest of justice, in the interest of development, that is the best that has happened to our nation.
And in what terms? Can you break it down for us to understand?
No, this will bring about development, to bring about real independency to our local government, and this will transform the local government. All we need to do is to ensure that, yes, we have good people in the local government too.
When you say it will bring about development to the local government, are you saying that maybe state governments have stopped development from trickling down to those local government, to the grassroots rather?
No, that's not what I'm saying. There has been development, but this will increase development, definitely.
Okay.
It will increase development.
So when you say it will increase development, what kind of development should we see in
infrastructural, human, agriculture, name it. Whatever that will affect the lives of people, infrastructure, you know, will come definitely to the local government. Because there's what we call free flow of funds now. All we should ensure now is effective management.
You said something about those at the local government level, being effective, like you said. Would you say this is the fear expressed by, state governments? That's why maybe this has not happened in a long time.
There are varying factors in every state. Even as it is before the judgment, there are states that were doing very, very well in terms of, there are some states that were doing very well in terms of funding. But there are states that were completely not doing anything in terms of funding the local government. So this will bring, law is law. We're all bound by the law and we all obey the law. With this as a law now, it becomes crystal clear that yes, the funds goes directly to the local government purse. And what is it? Whoever is the chairman, the presiding officer of the local government will now take charge of the fund and is by law allowed to spend the money and definitely be held liable for how the money is spent. So if you spend money that will end up in jail, I don't think anybody, you and I, would like to end up in jail.
One major issue the country faces is the issue of security. Do you think this will in any way, help improve the state of security?
Yes, you see, the challenges we are having in this country today, I've repeatedly said, is the issue of security or the issue of insecurity. It's two ways. The local government, if it is allowed to take care of its own security by way of this funding, it will go a long way in dealing with insecurity in that local government. Because sometimes you may not need to wait for funds from your state to take care of active, measures to deal with security in your local government. There are times you may need to call the police, call the governor, but once you have fund and it's properly established how to deal with your security, once you have fund, it's just to dispense, to take care. There are local vigilantes. There are people are crying for, what they call state police or thereof. But once there are funds within the local government, there were times it was better than now in terms of funding. Recently, it has been very difficult and so challenging. But with this law, hopefully, the local government authority will take care of security. There will be improving security, and there will be fund to deal with insecurity.
But a lot of people believe that even these local government elections are being influenced by the state government. How are we sure that even if power returns to the local government, it is not still going to be controlled by the state government?
That is another chapter. What we are talking today is about funding. Election of the local government is a different thing. Maybe let's start implementing this direct funding to the local government.
From the federal level, how would you also advise the state legislatures to also ensure that there are no excesses?
It depends on what you mean by excessive. Somebody may be trying to make sure that the law is carried out to its letter. And it depends on what humans feel about, such. Some people may not like the way it is interpreted to the letter. Some may like it. It depends on the prevailing circumstances and where exactly.
All right. Let's take a quick break now. Don't go anywhere. We still have more for you on the program. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you for staying with us on the Hallowed Chambers, and we have been speaking with the Deputy Majority Leader of the House of Representatives, Honorable Halims Abdullahi. Thank you for staying with us on the Hallowed Chambers.
Thank you.
Well, let's move on to a controversial matter. The House of Representatives seems to have stirred a bit of controversy when it allegedly asked the federal government to suspend the EU-Samoa agreement. But the spokesperson of the House of Representatives had come out to say that was not in any way the position of the House of Representatives. Tell us, where does the House stand on this matter?
In my own personal view, the matter was not stepped down. It was referred to a committee, and until the committee decides, the committee comprises of several people, several professionals. They will decide on the matter and report back to the House. Simple.
So are you saying this call is still on the table?
Yes.
So why does it seem that the spokesperson seems to be dodgy about the matter?
No, it's not dodgy. That's the position of the House. It's referred to a committee. That's all.
But from the body
language, that's
language
the constitutional way of doing things.
From the body language of your colleagues, what do you think this time? Is it a situation of misconception? Because some people have said some of the reservations that were expressed are not really what is contained in that agreement.
You see, it depends on who has read the agreement or not. Some may argue without having read the agreement. To the best of my knowledge, there's no issue there until the committee finish with the assignment. And once the committee finish with the assignment, it's returning back to the House. And we'll deliberate on it to pass or not to pass. It's the business of the entire House.
So what are those concerns? Can you let us know so that Nigerians may better understand why the House seems to, have this
You see, there are some issues, especially as it relates to religion, gay issues, some other issues. But some people have not really studied the content of that agreement. And before we meet, before the review committee do anything about it, most people must have gone through the agreement.
Have you gone through the agreement?
For me, no. Personally, I have not.
Okay, why is that? Is the document before the House of Representatives?
No, it's the document before the House. We still have 4 weeks' time. We have so much on our table, so much on our heads, so much on our hands. And, one day I'll just sit down before that time to acquaint myself with the content of that agreement.
But from
so that I'll be well equipped on that day will come on.
But from the little that you know, do you also agree with some arguments that say, yes, it may not have some controversial issues like you mentioned, but, it's also contains some clauses that will help Nigeria resolve challenges. Do you agree with this?
Definitely. There are issues in the agreement, SAWA agreement, that will deal with some issues that some people are not very comfortable with it. And again, it depends on this region of the country. Let me just come out straight. Religion and the region of the country. But all those things put together, the parliament is not about one person. It's not about one region. It's about the entire country. And once we meet, just as I'm saying, decision will be taken.
When you say religion and region, can you be more specific?
There are things that the Northerners may not like as it is practiced in the South. And
vice versa.
And vice versa.
Now, just sorry for pressing.
Just as we are talking about gay.
Okay, but gay is not in the agreement according to.
It's not, but the misconception.
When they say it's going to address some challenges, is security one of those challenges?
Security,
the economy,
agriculture, economy, security, agriculture, so many things that will improve. It's intended to improve our standard of living, improve infrastructural development, improve agriculture.
There has been an increasing trend of cholera cases across the country. Cholera is a highly infectious disease which spread through contaminated water, food, or direct contact with an infected person's feces. Symptoms include diarrhea,